Donald Wyatt, W-Y-A-T-T, Wyatt. Well, I was a student here in the arts faculty in October of 1954. I did economics, history, and statistics. Somehow I was then drawn into student union activity because, now how was it done in our time? In our time, the union organization was the main appointments in the union, in the council, the student council, were elected one by one. In other words, the president, vice president, on-secretary, treasurer, on-treasurer, etc., up to the assistant on-gen sec, were all elected on an individual basis. No, you stood as president and you were elected by the entire student population and so on, right? And that was separate from the other council members, which were based on numbers in hostels. So Dun & Road Hostel would send up so many candidates, KE7 Hall with so many candidates, and so on, all right? And then the non-hostelites, so no house, the no house organization. so they also stood as separate entities. I stood as a non-hostelite in the first year, the first time I stood for a student union election, which was the sixth student council, the sixth student council. Now the sixth student council would have been 56, 57. 56, 57. It went that way, because it carried from one year to the next year, half to half. 56 to 57, 57, 58, 58, 59, right? 59, 60. So, okay, let me check that again. I've got to go backwards, right? I've got to go backwards. I was 59, 60. I was 59, 60. 58, 59, I wasn't there. So 57, 58 would be, yeah. No, 56, 57. I'm getting my dates a bit mixed up now. All right, but anyway, I was just a council member. Then the next year, 57, 58, I stood for election to the to the 9th student council, right? The 9th student council, right? I stood for election to the 9th student council, and I went for the post of on-gen sec. And that is how I became on-gen sec of the 9th student council. And I have the picture here. Okay. Now this is the executive committee. The executive committee of the 9th student council, which got involved with Welfare Week. Okay, all right. Now, if you've taken the picture, I'll move the picture. Huh? All right, okay. So, this here is Kumarapathy, all right? Kumarapathy, Dr. Kumarapathy eventually, he's passed on. When you look at this picture, all these guys aren't around, you know? So this Dr. Kumarapathy, he also gave all his years to student union, but he eventually graduated. This is M.S. Gill. He went on to become deputy chief of the general staff in the SAF. All right? He was a science grad. This is Tony Lazarus, also a doctor from Malaya. He emigrated to US. He's passed on. Freddie Samuel was president of this council. Freddie was president of this council, but he also passed on. He was a doctor in private practice. That's me, that's Selva. Selva was also a doctor, and he went into government service in Malaya, and I'm not sure where he is. Noel Ogle, he's Eurasian. and he came from Penang. He went on to be registrar of Penang U, and he's retired now. And I think, trust God, he's all right. So there we are. That was the 9th Student Council.
What made you so active in student?
You get drawn in, okay, into activities.
What drew you in?
I don't know. It was friendships, really. Friendships. And the people and the excitement of the day. Now, I wasn't terribly into politics, but in a way, I did have a little, an introduction to politics, even when I was in school. You know, I campaigned when I was in what you'd call junior college now. Nowadays it would be post-school, post-secondary education, no? So post-secondary education is the year we did after we did our senior Cambridge. So that was the year we were being tutored for the university examination. And I remember helping to campaign for one of our teachers who was running for the Legislative Council. And I campaigned for him somewhere in the Katong area, all right? And that sort of drew me into politics in a very strange way. But it was, I think, largely in university when I got sort of worked up about, and even then, it was more in terms of, sort of government where people had a say, all right? It was the rage, it was the rage. The Indonesian students were here. They were influencing the Malayan students. Then there was the feeling of independence was very strong around us. Huh? And on top of it, the fact that Singapore and even the British had capitulated to the Japanese, also created a new mindset, basically. Created a new mindset. That, hey, it's about time we had a say in what our lives were about. That's basically, we had a say. Somehow the idea of ruling ourselves didn't occur in my mind, at least. Maybe in others it did. But there was still, I don't think there was that conviction that they could do it themselves, do it on their own. What also aggravated the whole situation of political presence, was the Communist War that was raging in Malaya, and that was serious. That erupted in 1948. But let me tell you a story of how it began in Singapore. In 1946, I would have been in something like Standard 2, Standard 46, 35, 11, 12 years old. I would have been about Standard 2, Standard 3, a little boy. And I was in St. Joseph's. And remember, this is 46, The British only came back in September of 45. The Malayan Communists, the MPAJA, they call themselves the MPAJA, the Malayan People's Anti-Japanese Army. They had their offices and all just behind St. Joseph's Institution. There's St. Joseph's Institution there. There's a church on the other side. There's a church there. And behind the church, there's now the Catholic high school used to be there. And on the back of it, there were wooden houses. And the MPAJ had their offices there. And if you read Chin Peng in his book, My Side of History, you'll see him referring to him meeting there. And here he was walking up and down the street. And here we were. But it was one day in 1946 when, in school days, it was very, lovely. We ended school at 1 o'clock, so the recess was long, we had 20 minutes of recess. And so from St. Joseph's, we just jumped across the road and would go and play football in our grounds, which is facing the cathedral, what is now SMU. Was once a big field. Okay, the old St. Joseph's. Not, oh my gosh, I'm talking about 50 years ago. So, yeah, the old St. Joseph's. So we go there and we play football, and the cricket boys practice cricket and whatever. So one day, at recess time, it just so happened. Suddenly, there was a procession coming down Waterloo Street. All the MPAGA guys are on this side. They came down, right? And they were carrying banners, drawings, posters of all the atrocities that the Japanese committed. And they assembled right across the field on the roads, towards the road edge, the roadside, facing the school. And they had loudspeakers and all. And then they began to call all of us, we were all playing up there. Oh, come, sit down. And so we didn't know what's happening. So we said, okay, it must be some sort of concert. So all our little boys, we sat down up there, round. And then their own people also came behind us. And here were all these banners, posters, and all of the atrocities that the Japanese had committed, all the tortures that they did. And then they started, making speeches and all. We didn't understand one word. And this is 1946, And in the meantime, of course, something was happening. The police, when I talk of police now, remember another thing again. And this is where those who don't do history, it's good to read up at least. Singapore was under military rule. Don't think we didn't. We were under military rule. British occupation, it was called military occupation. Military occupation from 1946 to 1948. There was no civil law, although they did observe civil law, British law, but the military had a very big say. So the word went back to the school that, hey, now something is happening out there, you better bring all the boys back to school. So Brother Director, he rang the recess bell loudly. He sent the prefects out to say, hey, y'all, no, go back to school. So the other guys, no, they didn't stop us, They kept on with their assembly. So we all went back to school. And then suddenly, military and the police came and encircled all these people. And then a riot broke out, and they began to attack the police, and the police were Gurkha soldiers, The guys just shot them, that's all. Then they fled all over the place. I remember they ran through the school even, going back to their offices in the back now, where they were. And so once all that was settled, they rang the school bell, they all go home. So as I went back home, there was one body lying, just on the field there near the church. Another one near St. Raffles Girls. Raffles Girls was next door to the cathedral. Next door was Raffles Girls School. And I think there was a clampdown after that. By 48, of course, the emergency was declared and the official war began. They could not come to terms with the MCP. MCP went to war, and they never declared it as a war, because the moment you declare a state to be in a state of war, then everything goes up. Insurance, shipping, everything, So that would inflate all your exports, your rubber and all, the costs and all would go up. So they never did it. So they call it an emergency. And it also affected Singapore. And so that was, there was all these things, sort of brought that realization of a political environment. There was a political environment, not only through the school years, all that was happening in the city, the strikes, and then once I entered university, there were groups already, right? There were graduates from Raffles College, who were detained and who even went to China, right, to become, to participate in the government in China or the politics of China. And so that somehow that drew me in, right? And so the opposition, of course, was always to the groups that were out to dismantle or to create chaos. Basically, that was the feeling, If a group within the student union, within the student community, even from outside, you felt that, hey, those guys meant not to develop a peaceful country or sort of seek constitutional change, right? If you want to go by the gun, then go by the gun, right? That's one choice, that's all. If you want to go constitutional, you go constitutional. So for me, I chose the constitutional route. And many of my friends also chose the constitutional route. So we had what's called a democratic club, but it didn't last very long because the socialist club was much stronger. They had their inspiration, I guess, from the revolutions that were going around, that were occurring around them in Indonesia, especially in Vietnam. India had already gained independence, all right, and so there was this emotion that it did seep into the people. It did seep. So a rising China also had its followers, had its supporters. So that's how I got in.
You mentioned that in your email that when you ran for election with Ramon, that you all ran on the platform or with the slogan to be with the people. So maybe you could tell us more about how that
happened.
Slogan was chosen.
Okay.
What was the opposition
Why?
team using?
How it happened like this. Now here's my dear friend. Where is? Okay. Now it happened. Okay. This is the story of the horse with three legs. And it was, I didn't bring the picture, but the place where this entire discussion occurred was at McAllister Road Hostel, which has been demolished just recently.
Where is that hostel now?
It's demolished.
Where's the land?
I've got a picture. It's now they're building the community hospital over it now. Have you read about SGH Community Hospital?
Oh.
Or Yotram?
But it's the one Ocean.
Yeah, it is there. It's next door to what was the Ministry of Health now, right? Currently the Ministry of Health. To the back, there's a hill, and there's a plot of land there, and that was McAllister. Right? McAllister Road goes down there, and this was I don't know how to describe it, but it's a long building with units, individual houses sort of thing, which were meant for the housemen, medical housemen. But because they were short of spaces then, they allowed the senior medical students also to live there, all right? Until finally when the new K7 Hall was built, then they moved in. Before that, it was Malaya Hall. What the hell was it called? Federal Hall. The medical faculty was Medical Hall, Federal Hall, sorry. The hostel there was called Federal Hall, different. I think so, right? I think so. Anyway, that was where we met in McAllister Road in a student hostel, right? Okay. Now, so what happened is this: these were the guys here. Kumarapati. No, Gil wasn't here. Gil lived here in Dunnan. Am I pointing right? Dunnan Road is here. Dunnan Road is here. Okay, it's here. The field is there, right? Tony and Freddie and Kumarapati all lived at SGH, right? In the hostels there. I lived in Chong Bahru, just behind the hostels. So it's very convenient for me always to be in touch with them. In fact, we sometimes go down to the coffee shop there and have a drink and we'll talk. Now, what happened was, now, when the elections for the 9th Student Council, remember, the 9th, the numbers sometimes roll in me now. The 9th Student Council, Freddie received a very high vote, and so he was interviewed by the press. I don't have that report, but I'm trying to search for it. If I get the date right, I'll be able to try and find that report. Now, in that report, Freddie was together with a group of guys, I think, and he was interviewed by the Straits Times, I believe, or it was the Free Press. There were only 2 newspapers there, Free Press and Straits Times. And he spoke about, he pushed him, what do you know, your plans are. Now he's talking as president now, We hadn't yet even formed the executive committee. And he said, I think we have to do something for the people, that we will bring in programs, to introduce the students, bring a closer rapport between the students and the people at large, the public at large. And so, and he said, I think, be with the people would be my slogan, he said, something like that. And here, all of us here were caught unawares by this. And in a way, it was a very inspired moment for Freddie, because the socialist guys in the student council, and there were a number of them there. Now, I don't want this to be. I'll point this out to you. All right. I'll just say that this is the 9th Student Council, right? But later on, I'll point out to you who the socialists were. Okay? I won't point a finger. All right? So they then began to say, all right, so if you are talking about be with the people, what is your program now? Now we are stuck, you see, because we are now the executive committee. And all of us here now had to come up with some program, or else they're going to go for EGM.
So it was something like the Democrats versus the Socialists?
Up to a point. We didn't use slogans. We didn't call ourselves that. But it was one view against another view. All right? So our view was, all right, we want to show our support to the nation, to the people. And the other guys are saying, okay, now tell us what you're going to do. Now, the thing is that when he said be with the people, it took the wind out of their sails. Because we are going to be with the people. But now we've got to prove what the hell are you going to do to be with the people. If you can't, then you're going to swallow your words, right? And so they take us to an EGM, get thrown out. It was quite common then to have EGMs. So we met in that McAllister hostel, and that was just Kumarapati, Tony, Freddie, and myself. Noel was here in Dunnan. Gil was here in Dunnan. Selva was in hostel, but I think he wasn't with us that day. So we were talking about what we're going to do and that. And that was Tony, you know. Tony was on the table in front of us. He had a horse, a porcelain horse, right? But this horse had only 3 legs. But still, he was playing with this horse, you know. And he put the horse on the table. But the horse still stood, you know. And he said, "Hey, Hari, you know that horse got 3 legs, but can still stand." So he laughed and said, "Okay, now let's see, what are you going to do?" And so then the ideas came about. He said, "All right, Welfare Week." And we said form a committee, and we'll see what we can do. And of course, the things, of course, that could be done then was, sort of Flag Day, which was, the done thing, there were Flag Days going on. So we do a Flag Day, and we did visits to welfare homes, and that sort of activity. And we'll just showcase the university for a bit, and that is how it began. So that it just inspired us. No, it said, okay, let's we can still do it, and we did it on a very small scale. But let me show you the idea. Then was now okay, let me see. I think I've got it here.
Can I just clarify?
Yes.
Like Flag Day back then, similar to the way Flag Day is now?
Yes.
With the tins and everything?
Yes, it was just like that. But it was very, very basic, very, very basic. The very first Welfare Week, come on.
The porcelain horse was like one leg broken, or was it just...
One leg was broken. One leg was broken. And so we were able to, oh hell, the picture is not here. Come on, man. Hang in for a second, Never mind. I'll do that a bit later, okay? I'll show you that picture. But, so that's how it, and we had a bit of we carried some banners and things on a truck and went around town. Now, I'll show you to you later. Right? Okay. So, okay, what's next now?
So all this meeting happened at
McManus, right? And from there on, we formed the committee, and we went on to launch the Welfare Week. And we had Tunku Abdul Rahman, who was the Chancellor of the University, as our patron. In later years, I think even Tony Tan became a patron of Rag and Flag. Yeah, I think so.
Maybe you can describe your experience of being there.
Well, I was more an organizer, but we did go out to sell flags. That's just, we allocated areas, we just stood there, we just, And my feeling was, people did appreciate, they did put money in. It was little, no doubt, maybe a 10-cent coin, but anyone who came by did put that 10-cent coin in. I think we did get the publicity, we did get the support, and so that helped tremendously. But basically we did just, and we did a little tour of the city. I don't think you can do that anymore now because of the traffic problems. All right, here. We have the very first picture of the very first, oops, something fell down. Thank you. All right, there. right? The very first road show. We went on the road, we carried the banner up on the trucks, just a lorry, no, nothing fancy. And made made a bit of noise on the truck, support welfare week, right? And so we went out there to sell flags. Now, okay, to tell stories, to tell stories. Okay. Now the guy. Yeah. All of these guys went on to become real top guys in the Malayan government. Right? All of them. All of them are Malayans. A few Singaporeans there. The rest are all Malayans. Yeah. And yeah, that's it. So that was about a big part of it.
You mentioned there were two memorable incidents that you still remember to this day. One was the coin tossing.
Yeah, after, now that was another very strict thing, very strict. We didn't have security places and that where you could store the coins, and so when you go out there collecting money and all, they wanted to make sure that nobody ran away with the tins. So anyway, so we agreed to arrange that we would bring all the tins. You got to account for it, you go to customs and get a permit. No joke one. So it was Rocher Road Police Station. I still remember. So we arranged with them that we would bring all the tins there, and we count the money there. And when the money is over, we would, lock it up, and the next day, bank it. All right. Now we don't have coin machines today too. So there we were, about 5 or 6 of us, opened the tins, and the tins were sealed. Not sort of thing, actually sealed. So you had to, and the tins were all donated. Yep. Yeah. Cutter. Yeah. Right. So you open the tin, and not just a clock on. No. So you couldn't run away with that. And so that was terrible. You open, then you throw the coins out there on the table, and count. 10 after 10. It went on till about maybe 11 o'clock at night. And finally, when it was all counted for, tied up in a bag, and we locked it up in the police safe there. And I think the next day, I'm not sure who, treasurer, I think, would have taken it to bank it. Right? So that part was done. That was one. What was the other incident that I?
You mentioned you was presenting the check.
The presentation of checks. Oh yes, of course. I went out and presented these checks, and we did this. I've got. Where's my? Okay, now I've got the of the places we went to. I'll show you these pictures in a while. All right. So I'll just give you the. Where I got the reports in. First, I can tell you, in later years, they did work camps and things like that. The Students' Union organized work camps. They went to villages and cleaned up roads and all. But, there was this kind of thinking also. They said, hey, look, now why do you want to go and get all these guys to go there and dig up a road and sort of thing? But then I think the idea was that to identify yourself with the people. I mean, there was a time when we would have come, many would have come from villages in Malaya and living, sort of village roads and things like that. And so we felt that, okay, we can go and, sort of help to clear a path or whatever. But others would say, hey, look, I mean, don't you think you should give them the equipment? Because if they had the equipment, they would have done it. But they haven't got the money to buy that equipment. So why don't you get the money and go and give the equipment? Whether it's, sort of charcoal or mechanical digger or whatever. Once they have that, I mean, they can do not only when you are there, but when you're not there. All right? So that was the way. Now, anyway, here I've got the things. I've taken this down from reported in the Straits Times, as well as in the the undergrad. Huh? Let me see now. Yeah, I marked it out. Okay, here we are. Okay, in the Welfare Week, which was between 25th July to 1 August 59, the entire collection for the underprivileged children, we targeted children, underprivileged children, went to the Spastics Children's Association, the Singapore Children's Society, the Ramakrishna. I'm sorry, this is the 1959 one, not the 1957 one. But anyway, I'll just tell you this. The 59 one, the 59 Welfare Week, that's when I was president. The Muslim Boys Orphanage, the Overseas Chinese Creche, Marymount Vocation School for Girls. All right, that's what went there. Now let me see where's the one where I went and gave the checks.
So, why was this occasion memorable for you?
Oh, I mean, they were so, when we presented the check to them, they were so appreciative that you were there to, that the students, sort of were so understanding of the situation, right? That there were people who needed this kind of assistance, and especially it was students, especially. That's right, the university students, and you felt that you had done something good. Now, okay, if you like to, you can take a picture. This was the chairman of the first Welfare Week, Tan Sri Dato Navaratnam. He's now financial advisor to Sunway Group of Companies in Malaya. And that's me, Donald Wyatt, retired. That's Deborah, and that's Ho. He's a dental surgeon. And this was a reunion. Of Dunnan Road Hostel. Okay, so let me just quote from what Raymond wanted to say. Okay, this is what the Vice Chancellor said. Okay, this is what he said, all right? This is in his own words. He took an active role in student life, and of particular significance was the part he played in organizing the first Welfare Week in the history of the Students' Union. The Malayan undergrad, in its issue of 12 November 1957, had this to say: Welfare Week, a part of the Union's Be With the People's policy, adopted by the Council during the last academic year, is designed to create a civic sense in the students and impress upon the people of Malaya and Singapore that the varsity students have a definite interest in the well-being of their people. The first patron of Welfare Week was the late Prime Minister of Malaysia, Tunku Abdul Rahman. Right, that's there. Going further down. Now, this is also what the Vice Chancellor, Professor Oppenheim, had to say of Welfare Week. In a foreword to the souvenir program, then Vice Chancellor, the late Professor A. Oppenheim, spoke of Welfare Week as an acorn that will grow into a huge, shady oak tree that will provide compassion and comfort to the poor and needy in the years to come. Those were prophetic words, for this tradition has continued at the National University of Singapore, the University of Malaya, and many other universities in Malaysia, which still organize Welfare Week and similar projects. The Flag Day raised some $17,000, a princely sum in those days, and it was donated to the Singapore Association for the Deaf and Dumb, the Marymount Vocational School for Girls, and the Johor State Welfare Committee's Project for Crippled Children. So even some of the money was sent to cross the causeway, right? So that was the whole basis of it. So I think it's, if you would like to take a picture of that, you can do so, right?
The first welfare week, do you all expect, that there will be a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth?
We hoped so. We hoped so, but it caught on. It just caught on, huh? And it went on to become more and more professional. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a really rag and flag day for us. It was just ragging. Of course, is something that was frowned upon. Ragging as such, but it originated more as a fun thing, but degenerated into something more crude. So it was best that it ended.
When I first started, it was just flag day, right?
Yeah, so basically.
You notice a few years later, you added the idea of floats. So how do you...
No, there were floats with this one. There were a street procession. We call it a street procession, all right? But not a float as if it is decorated and all. No, but later processions had proper floats. There was one very interesting float, if you can find it, and I can't recall exactly what year this happened, but it would have been, if this one was 57, 58, 59, somewhere between 59, 60, I think. K.E. Hall put up the prize-winning float, which was a thought that occurred because of the nuclear experiments that were being done in the U.S. And they had exploded a nuclear bomb on Bikini Atoll, somewhere in the Pacific, right? And so there was this kind of anti-nuclear feeling developing throughout the world, put it that way. I mean, not only the student world. And K.E. Hall had this wonderful float where it's a lorry, all right, a lorry. And on the lorry, there was the big cloud, mushroom cloud. So the mushroom, the nuclear mushroom cloud. And the two guys on the top, they're dressed as monkeys, right? So one lady monkey and one male monkey. And the big caption underneath there was, "Darling, shall we start again?" Meaning that eventually, if the nuclear world would eliminate humankind, right? So that was a very, very lovely kind of a protest, by way of thinking, more than anything else. I don't have that picture, but if you can locate it, it'd be very interesting. And there were other floats also that usually it was always pretty, pretty girls and sort of thing. Sometimes it was expressions against government, against policy or whatever. It was all right. Nothing untoward there.
Okay. Some people said that the floats were an idea that was imported from British universities, or was it like homegrown?
It's not a question of imported. No, it started like this, just as lorries, carrying students, waving flags and all. And then I think it would have been influenced by some of the, fantastic floats that you see in overseas, whether not necessarily from universities, but sometimes the very big events that they have overseas. And so
maybe because compared to other welfare week projects, like what was how significant was Rag Flag? Was it like the most popular? Was it?
Well, yeah, that nationally, right? The flags, of course, reached out to everybody. But internally, we had talks. We had well, some of the other things we did. Basically, we would have had talks. We had a, wait on, let me see, just to check that one out. I've got it here. That I think I can, what they organized. Here we are. Now, student camps, work camps. All right, there was a work camp. They organized the work camp. This was in 1961. Then, bong, 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 bong. Wait on, let me see now. Yeah, basically it was talks. Basically it was talks. Oh, okay. They had a small fair, you know, sort of a fair within the campus, also to raise money, Here we are. They had, this one was in 1960. The Welfare Committee of the Students' Union has announced its following plans. I'm not sure which committee this is, 1960. 1960, yeah. In keeping with its policy to be with the people. A Christmas party, a welfare committee, something or other. No, the Welfare Committee has also decided to hold a series of courses in various community centers and organizing a work camp. Okay, so they did other things as well to spread the word, But I think today you'll find that government agencies do a very, very more impressive stuff and more professional stuff. But the students still identify with these projects. That's the main thing. You can still do it, you know, but basically, I think we must understand that students are here to study, you know, to get through the exams, and it's the presence that helps. Okay, the presence that helps.
Some people will say that students should be studying, they should be focused on the exams. So,
right.
Why do you think it's important for them to take part in Rag Flag?
Well, yeah, it is in the sense that it goes back a long way, you know. It goes back why we did it also, because the university student in those early years, whether in the medical faculty, in medical college, you know, were always regarded as the privileged, you know, and it was the privileged. If your family had to be able to afford to send you to Raffles College, or you were able to get a government scholarship, or else the best you could do was finish your school cert, and even that was a privilege. And so once you had received that education, you became a doctor, you became a civil servant, life sort of edged one away from the masses. We talk of masses, you know, in those days. The masses was a different thing. And for me, the masses was always part of me, especially after my years. Anyone who went through the war years will have a different view of society. I mean, just to tell you some of the things I did as a little boy during the Japanese occupation. I went around selling curry puffs in Tiong Bahru. My grandmother made them, and I went selling them. My aunt made ice cream, I went to sell them. We even had a stall selling beef soup until there was no more beef. And so, like you say, so once you're up there, then even then, you know, in the political view of the day, and I think that political view hasn't changed. I think so. It was, you know, when you had the Legislative Council, it was long before elected government, huh? Many of the people were nominated by the governor to sit in the Legislative Council, and they were all from the upper echelons of society, you know, the leaders of business, the leaders of professions, if at all. And it was always that way. And so this idea that, no, once there was this feeling that there should be representation, no popular representation. It was a different thing altogether. You wanted to go out there and get that vote from the guy down your neighborhood. I mean, you had to be someone whom you think you would look after his interests or be part of his interests, or at least guide him, look after the environment in a way that is helpful to all. So there was that, I mean, that snooty thing, the upper class. I'll tell you, among the Eurasian community, we also, I think this you can edit, huh? I don't want to have a problem with my community. Edit it. We have what they call the upper 10. I don't know why the upper 10. They divided the Eurasian class into 10. And the top guys who were in the civil service, who had landed property, who drove cars, were in the upper 10. And the lower 10 was the guy who was the clerk in the office. Or what else they could do. So there was even that kind of, and it's taken a long time to change that feeling. It's changing, because the society is also curling, from the base. I won't call the masses, the base. From the base also you are moving up, so that you're getting a different mix now. Like if you mix dough, you all cook? No, you don't cook. Huh? I cook. Okay. When you make cake, right, you make dough. The dough gets harder and harder as you mix it. Huh? So it's like that, It's like that. That's the way I think it's happening. That's what Singapore is today. But I'm not so happy about what's around us. Not so sure about what's around us. Yeah, you can see from what's happening. So we identify with the people, and do the right thing. That's all. And for yourself, never mind what for yourselves.
This welfare week was quite popular until they decided to make it welfare month.
Right.
Do you have any,
that's stretching it. That's stretching it. Okay. That's up to you all. Huh? That's up to you all. How long you can stretch out a program? You see, I mean, I'm told now that the problem with the floats. I'm a fellow of Shears Hall, so I know what happens there. That the question of floats now costs a fair bit of money and time, although it's very, very inventive. It's very attractive, but it's an entire show in itself, It's an entire show in itself. And what I mentioned also to them is that it's all over in one afternoon. After that, you dismantle everything and end of story. Huh? But let's say if we all participated in something, now you can go bigger. Don't cancel it. Go bigger. Join in the National Day or whatever big processions that there are, offer to put in a float, maybe 1, 2, that's all. Be part of that, and you have a bigger group supporting it. And within the halls, I think, of course, you can do your own quick thing, whatever that quick thing is. Huh? Say, but once you do things like going to help out in charity homes and all, I'm also a volunteer in health. I can't do it. When I volunteer on the basis that as and when, not as committed to. Because if I'm committed to, then I have so many other commitments. So the question now is which commitment. So let's say you say you're committed now to going and looking after classes for the people living in the welfare home downstairs. There's a welfare place there for young people, isn't it? Down the road. Now you commit yourself to going and doing something there. Always think whether you can maintain it. Otherwise, just do a course. Just do a course and leave it at that and do a follow-up of some kind. Because when they ask me, okay, can you volunteer to go and look after this old person in his home? And I said, no, I can't, because I can't commit myself. They say, 3 times a week, 8 o'clock to something. I said, if it is on a day when I can do it, I'll go. But what happens if there are other things that come along? There's family concerns and things like that. I feel very bad to think that person there is waiting for me and I can't go. It's best that I don't go. I don't even know, not say don't go, don't accept, right? But once you accept, then just see it through, short one, quick, and maintain a contact of some kind. That's the only way, right? But you yourselves, like all of these people, we come and we go, in the sense that we pass through university and we're on to something else. And it's only while we are here that we can give some of our talent, some of our help, and that's it. But as long as you make an impact, it's the main thing, right? Make an impact. Just the main thing.
We're coming to the final part of our interview, so we'll just ask you a few more questions.
Sure.
So one of the questions is, what is a lesson or experience gained from Rag Flag or Welfare Week in your case that has affected you in one way or another?
I've always, from there on, I've been very amenable. Don't use the word amenable. Very, not say influencer, but I'm very aware. All right, I'm very aware of concerns, welfare concerns in society, of various kinds. At the moment, I volunteer for health promotion. I try to go and tell guys to stop smoking. It's not easy. It's not easy for me. I started smoking when I was only 12 years old. I smoked all the way through university. I smoked all the way till I was about 35 years of age. And one day, I came to my senses here. Where's the hall? The hall is over there. I pointed out to you with my offices, right? Right? It happened to me here. I was doing, as I said, I was doing all the publications, the university diary and all that sort of stuff. And publications can be a very boring thing, but it's very exciting. It's an art if you go into it. But in the years when I was doing this, it was linotype. No fancy electronics, nothing, Linotype means if you do a page, all right, it comes in a frame, and all the letters are let in little bits of metal, A, B, C, D, all. So every word is put into the frame, and it's then locked up, and then they make a copy, and that's used to print your pages. So if you make one mistake, one spelling mistake, it's a heck of a job, you know. Guys got to open it up, take out that type, put the correct type in, and there you go again. And so when you read this, you just sit there and you make sure you read the copy correctly. Even a comma missing also will be noticed, and you get fired for it. So you do that, So what I do is, okay, the copy is in front of me. I have a cigarette. No, that's one. You could smoke in those days. You could smoke in the office. My boss used to smoke one tin, sitting down here. So smoke. And I put the cigarette, I only went halfway through a cigarette, and I stubbed it out, I put it there. And I kept on reading. And then my hand went like that. And then I looked at my hand, and I said, hey, what's this guy doing? And he was going to another cigarette. And I thought, you just put a cigarette down. Or why are you going for another cigarette? Then it occurred to me, this is addiction. And I cut down from there on. Slowly, I cut down. It doesn't, I stopped sometimes for 2 weeks. Then I'll come back again. Sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's partying. And of course, as playing football, also helped tremendously. So when the season comes on, you find that I played serious football, not play one. I was in league, not Lions League, but Safa League. I played for the Singapore Recreation Club, and it's for serious games. And so you have to be, fit enough to last out a game. So you cut down on your smoking, and that helps tremendously. So until one fine day, I decided, hey, it's not good for you. And so now I try going around telling guys to quit smoking, give them a pamphlet, and they say, so tell me, yes, no, but not so easy. I say, yeah, not so easy, but try again. Keep on trying. So I do that, all right? So concerns, all right? Of course, there are, I will not talk politics, but there are national concerns as well, and welfare in the population. I'm also with the residence committee for my area, and in that sort of work, we make sure our dustbins are clean. So.
You become more interested in people's welfare.
Yes, and that way it just kept me, concerned, aware. That's the main thing. Concerned, maybe aware and concerned, right? Not concerned for nothing, but aware and concerned. And I think that has helped me tremendously.
So we need to close again for...
Okay, sure thing. Now, let me just... He was in government service in Malayan. They're all Malaysians. His father was a justice.
Chief Justice.
Yeah. No, not chief, a judge in Malaysia. Very close friends.
Okay, so we're good to continue.
Okay.
So our second question is, what do you wish, what lesson or value do you wish that this year's Rag Flag, that people participating in this year's Rag Flag will take away from the experience?
One is that they're doing something that is of benefit to society. They're doing something beneficial for society, not to, maybe for society, and that they understand why this activity connects them, right, with the people from whom they come. I think this is very important. That the guy down there who puts the 10-cent coin in your flag day, now sort of is supporting you because he thinks that you're worth supporting. Your cause is worth supporting. That basically is. That's the main thing. That's the main thing. And from there on, of course, that you will always have this concern for not only the welfare, not only of your own welfare, but the welfare of your surroundings and the people you live with. I think that's important. That's the most important thing.
Another question we have is, what do you hope for the event itself for Rag Flag? What kind of changes or development do you hope will take place?
Yeah, I did mention this also, that if you want to go on, all right, I'm told now that sometimes the floats now are being co-organized by halls and so on. Fair enough, because I think one hall, with all the new programs that are being introduced in university, students are going on sabbaticals and what have you. So I did mention this, that perhaps you could have a fair day, right? From, say, in some, a place where it's convenient for public to come to. Think of it that way, because to have it here on campus, of course you have a beautiful big field, right? But for people to come all the way here is an effort, calls for effort, right? But if it's some place where it's central, wherever it is, I mean, you can think it out, or a way in which people can come here, then have a fair, a fun fair, maybe one whole day fun fair, with some very exciting things. Maybe if you can have community place where you have a stadium, a small community stadium, have it in there. You have gate, you can collect gate, and also have a show, concert, whatever, right? Everything thrown in. One day thing, a weekend kind of a thing, a Saturday. And I think you throw all your effort in there and make a big one, sell tickets, collect money from prizes, run game stalls, get big people to sponsor. Just one day, right? So, and that one big effort. And then other things can be done by various halls can do other things on their own, so that it doesn't drag on student time. Because if you want to, like I say, if you want to do a project, make sure you can continue with it, but don't break off. Let's tell the guys for 3 days, okay, I will come and do this, or we'll come and show you how to do this, and then maybe you say, all right, maybe in 2 weeks' time we'll come back and see how you're doing, whatever it is. Whether it is to assemble a PC, go down to those guys and, what's this home here? There's a home here nearby, or anywhere. Assemble a PC, I think using a PC most everybody knows, right, more or less. Huh? But assembling and repairing PCs is something that is not something that is known to many people, even though you go whacking away. All right, so things like that, something that is that's tangible. That's the word. That is tangible. All right, and what you can do. That's the main thing. Not what's something that you got to go and learn yourself. No, but something that you already know. All right, you got to go and teaching and all is not an easy thing. I know guys who go and give tuition and all, but it's for them it's to earn bucks, to earn bucks. But for you to go and do volunteer teaching, it's taxing. It's taxing. But to go and give a lecture, okay, I can go and give a lecture, right? Just you tie it up with a school or with a community center. You know, I'll come and give you a lecture on history, something like that. Or once a week, I'll come and give you a lecture or run a course. You know, something that where I participate in all this activity in grassroots. There's a lot of information that's missing, you know, about how Singapore has developed, about government, about even health even. That's why health promotion, of course, does health promotion. Right? But even their reach is also, it has to reach out to, well, they can do it on media, so that reaches a lot of people. But still, it's good, you know, if you can have some kind of counseling and that sort of stuff. You know. But I mean, that's not, maybe those guys who are doing the nursing courses might be able to do, right? But it all depends on what is available and what resources you have. But don't push it. Don't push it. That's my feeling. But make an impression and make an impact. That's important. Huh? That's important. So I think over the years, to think that this has gone on, which means that it just improves and becomes more meaningful as the years go by, and make it even more meaningful. I mean, for you as students, and for the community to appreciate. I think that's my message. That's my message.
One last question. How do you feel about this? I guess you could say Rag Flag was like your child, it's like your baby. It's like, I think 56 years old this year. How do you feel about it having, you know, grown so much over the years?
Well, like they said, it was a seed that has grown into an oak tree. I think that's the way it is. It's a seed. Plant a good seed. And I think it is spread. Not only to us, to NTU, SMU now, I'm told, are also thinking of doing something, or they do something. Do you know? They on a small scale. They're also making their contribution. I think that's okay. At this level, it's okay. I think that's about all that we can do. Yeah, within what is available to you all. I think that's my feeling. Yeah.
So I guess that concludes our interview here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Not at all. All right, Jensen. Okay. Okay, dear.